Hey Cash, glad you could make it. I haven't seen you since the poison video.
No problem, Leo. Thank you for buying. Whoa, this tastes familiar. Where'd you get this?
Oh, it's an import beer from Fruma. 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 Fruma.
Ooh! What the hell? Is this the Hero Beta? Oh no, please!
This is the Auburn Forest Ale. Recently, I was running around on Wynncraft when I came across something I hadn't noticed before. A beer-inspired potion imitating something I could find at the liquor store. Normally this wouldn't be very notable. However, I've been learning how to brew beer from my dad for the last couple years. It got me thinking, what would a Wynncraft beer actually taste like? Now, I'm sure somebody's tried to do this before, but my advanced research methods couldn't find anything online. This leaves me with a blank slate to try and come up with my own Wynncraft beer.
I wasn't originally going to start here, but if you've paid any attention to the game recently, you might know that an update is brewing, if you will. I have to give a shout out to Leo CTW, who let me know about promotional work being done for the upcoming release of Fruma. While I wouldn't say I'm a part of the official promotions, this project was going to happen one way or another. Considering all the fanfare, it made sense to try and brew something that represents the new content coming in this update. Fruma does seem to have some unique themes and environments that I think can be captured quite well in a beer. Trailers have showcased an environmentally diverse region with various forests, farmlands, cities, and castles. The particular focus I have is on Esprin, a settlement in a region known as the Auburn Forest. It has a lot of maple trees in what appears to be a fall setting, with a cozy village in the center of it all. To match this atmosphere, I think it would be very fitting to brew a beer with maple syrup in it. Maple syrup flavor pairs best with darker styles of beer, but doesn't carry the same strength as coffee or chocolate. The recipe we've come up with is for an Imperial Stout. Here you can see the ingredient list and instructions. I'm not going to read through everything here, but it will be in the video description. Now, not everybody who brews beer is going to have the same setup and equipment. I also assume many of you don't brew at all. I'll try to explain how the process of brewing beer works, along with the specific techniques that we use. First of all, it's important to discuss sanitization. When brewing, we want to avoid any kind of contamination in the fermenter and the keg. Unwanted bacteria can grow very easily and throw off the taste of our beer. We also wouldn't want to reuse our equipment without properly cleaning it. We sanitize all of our fermentation and kegging equipment before use and clean everything afterwards with specialized chemicals. I would consider this to be the most important and most time-consuming part of the brewing process. Brewing beer starts with something relatively simple, heating up some water. In this case, we're heating it up to 170 degrees Fahrenheit. At certain temperatures, natural enzymes in the grain break starches down into sugar, which will be fermented. Once heated, the water enters our mash tun and the grains are added. We let this mixture sit for about an hour to allow the enzymes to convert as much starch to sugar as possible. After the mash, we transfer the wort to our boil kettle. Inside the mash tun is a grate that allows the grain we added to settle and filter out the rest of the grain from entering the kettle. When we do this transfer, we start by pouring into separate containers to filter out any leftover grain bits, and cycling the contents back into the mash tun without disturbing the grain layer. We also take a gravity measurement, which measures the sugar content of the wort. At this point, all of this sugary water tends to attract the bees and blimps.
Okay, let's stop and observe the blimp. That's pretty cool.
Depending on how much wort we get in the boil kettle, We make a second addition of heated water to the mash tun for a few more minutes. This is to rinse out any leftover sugars as well as to add volume to the boil. Once we get our target volume of wort in the kettle, we begin to boil it. This hour-long boil phase sterilizes the wort and leaves behind the sugars we want to ferment. It's also where we can begin adding hops. The stage at which hops are added determines some of the aromas they give off. For this stout, our recipe calls for hop additions at the beginning and end of the boil. We also watch out for when the wort begins to boil, as proteins in the wort can tend to foam up and cause a boil over. It wouldn't hurt the beer, but it's quite a mess to clean.
Okay, there we go.
After the boil is completed, we whirlpool the wort to clarify it and to cool it down. Hops can also be added here, but our recipe doesn't call for any. We also take a post-boil gravity measurement.
Okay, and then...
Can you read it?
through all the bubbles, not really.
Yeah.
Shoot, we were just clearing out. There's also like adhesive stuck to the side of it.
Oh yeah.
After the whirlpool, we're ready to ferment the wort. Once we transfer everything to the fermenter, we infuse it with oxygen to fuel the fermentation process. We then add the yeast, which will eat the sugars in the wort and produce alcohol. For this beer, we let it ferment for about a week. A temperature of around 70 degrees Fahrenheit is important here, as that is the optimal temperature for the yeast we're using. We chose to store the fermenter in our bathtub since it was too cold outside. This also makes cleaning easier if you accidentally have too much volume in the fermenter and it overflows. For most beers, this would be the end of the process. However, we haven't gotten to our main ingredient yet. We want to make sure the maple syrup isn't completely fermented, so we add it to another fermenter for a secondary fermentation period. The transition to the other fermenter leaves out a portion of the yeast to reduce that fermentation rate. After another week of fermentation, our last major step is to keg and carbonate it. We let the beer carbonate for a couple days, and once that's done, it's time to taste it.
Let's do our first pour. All right, looks good, right? No, no head though this time.
Still may need to carbonate a little more.
Probably. It does. I can taste like a little bit of the maple in it. It's
Very good.
it's still like the roast kind of is still the strongest part of it,
Mhm.
but there is like I can definitely It definitely feels right.
Is it like a sweet maple syrup or more just of a maple flavor?
It's more. It's just the maple flavor. It's not.
Okay.
Not sweet at all. The syrup is really sweet, but
Yeah.
So that's it. I think our beer came out pretty good, although it's a little tough to spot the maple flavor. If we were to brew this again, I think we'd want to experiment with different styles of beer and with different amounts of maple syrup. If you have all the necessary equipment and would like to brew this beer for yourself, the recipe is in the description. If I missed anything or if you have any questions about our process, feel free to ask in the comments. Once again, credit does go to Leo CTW for giving me enough advance notice to brew in time for the Fruma update. I also need to thank my dad for teaching me how to brew and for being open to brewing stuff we've never done before. I would love to continue brewing Wynncraft themed beers. If you're a brewer and would like to see more beer from us, let us know what you'd like to see next. If you're a Wynncrafter who just wants to see more Wynncraft stuff, let me know what kind of video you'd like to see next. If you're not a Wynncrafter, I highly suggest trying it out. I can confirm that this game just keeps getting better 12 years later. Thank you for watching.
I need a haircut so badly. Like this stuff is gross, man.